Alright, we're talking about the third season of The Boys. Now, the last season, people didn't really love it so much, or at least that's what I heard. Everyone just said that it was kind of lackluster, Homelander wasn't strong enough, but I, I really like the second season, and I think the season 3 is even better. Season 3 improves upon everything that season 1 did, or season 2 did, and then even some, because in season 3 there's this element they introduce. The boys, they get the powers of superheroes, and now they're fighting the soups, the seven, with powers. And it's not just like a cheap fight. They fight the seven, but they do it in a manner that is super satisfying, and it also kind of gives them some character development. They're not just fighting to provide us with some fan service, but they're actually fighting because they have to. They depend upon it. The show sets a beautiful premise for this, and it's executed beautifully. Here's what I'm talking about. So they set up the premise in a way that the boys think that whatever efforts that they're making, they're not working, and the soups are still winning because whatever they do, the soups just get back right up, and their method is very inefficient and it doesn't work. So they introduced this power thing at a point when the boys actually need a way, a means to prevent the soups from doing all that bad shit. And it's beautiful because if you think about it, I think the butcher, butcher is a character who would go to any lengths possible to stop Homelander and the entirety of the Seven. So he is absolutely hell bent on getting this drug, this new superpowers, and he does that. So it also gives us, character development while providing us with some fun moments, which I thought were really cool. And people are constantly saying that the ending of this show is kind of pretty weak and uh, in a way unsatisfying, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see why they think so. uh, you know the Butcher versus Homelander never happened in the finale, which it was all leading up to, at least from the narrative point of view, but it never happened. And so yeah, you can see why people would be disappointed for that. But the way the things ended, I think that was great because when you go with fan service so much that it kind of overtakes your narrative and storytelling, then it's kind of dog shit. This show did actually opposite of what the Endgame did. I think Avengers Endgame. In Avengers Endgame, you had this pretty big moment where everyone was fighting everyone. It was so fucking epic, but the way we got to it was so fucking bullshit and crappy that it was. I just laughed at it. Kind of was sad, disappointed really to see all that happening in a way that was so unsatisfying. How they got to it, but in this show, they get to a conclusion which is satisfying and it's the most realistic. They don't choose fan service, they choose to be good storytellers, giving us compelling storytelling and a narrative that is strong enough to hold all of its characters. Homelander is absolutely fucking beautiful in this show. He is the best character in this show, and I think the season 3 has only made him better. In my opinion, he's the best actor I've seen. Tony Starr is actually Anthony Starr or Tony Starr. I don't know what his name is, but he is phenomenal. His acting is fucking great. I love him, and this show only makes me love him more. I mean, this season only makes me love him more. And in this season, even Maeve, who has been kind of sidelined for a while, at least she was in season 2. She didn't really serve any purpose. It didn't wasn't really into the main narrative. Kind of her story was underdeveloped, I thought. But in this season, she is phenomenal. She gets to have the final showdown with Homelander in the final episode, which is absolutely phenomenal to see. Her redemption comes in this show. She kind of sacrifices herself in a way, you can say. uh, she's alive, she doesn't die, but she still sacrifices herself. So her redemption, I thought that was great. And everyone has been pretty good in this show. I think Deep was a character who I was kind of intrigued by the ending that the season 2 had for him. I thought he was going to become like the next fucking Homelander, the way that season 2 ended, but that never happened. He is even more pathetic than he was in season 2. At this point, the Deep is just like a comic relief character. He's just there to be laughed at, and he does that pretty good. I think he's not supposed to be the one to take name and kick ass. He's not going to be that character. And yeah, other than that, I think Noir was even Noir. They found a way. He's a mute character, by the way, and they found a way to give him a backstory explored in his own fucking mind because he can't really talk about it to anyone. I mean, that's not like you can't give a backstory to a character without, if they're mute, but it's still hard, He can't really talk about his feelings, how he feels, so you never really knew what he felt or how he felt until this season, and in this season he was pretty fucking great. And the conclusion is, pretty epic, but it kind of, makes me excited, but also kind of makes me scared because if they fuck up from here, it's still a chance. I've seen so many shows getting fucked just until before the conclusion of the show. That it's kind of I'm kind of scared. I'm also really excited. The way that the show ended. Homelander, his mind is completely snapped. He's now killing people, murdering people in crowds, and he's being applauded for it, by the way. And it's so cool because it's the most realistic shit you can think of. This actually happens. People do kill people in real life and walk away with it with absolutely nothing or any damage whatsoever. I mean, yeah, I'm not talking about everybody, but people with power who have power. And it's not just like I'm not talking about superheroes. You get the point. I'm talking about people with power who have money, who have influence. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that this show has been realistic, and I really, really appreciate that they chose to be realistic and compelling rather than do cheap fan service or something like that. And yeah,